All right, it's about 11 a.m. in New York and 6 p.m. in Lithuania. That is where world leaders gathered for day 2 of the NATO summit. President Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy sat for a bilateral meeting earlier this morning.
This after G7 leaders made a commitment to Ukraine, promising to provide long-term security to the country. So joining us now for more analysis on today's meetings is the former U.S. ambassador to NATO, Ivo Daalder. Thank you so much for joining us. So what we heard today was kind of like a little more, we didn't get details, but sort of a little more of what we heard from the communique yesterday, which is a commitment to security from the G7 nations. That will, we presume, will include military aid, training, intelligence. How significant is this announcement?
You know, it's very significant because up to this point, the United States and other NATO countries, and indeed other countries around the world, have made clear two things. One, that the invasion by Russia is completely and totally illegal, that the annexation of any territory is illegal, and that the United States and these countries will provide Ukraine with the weapons, the ammunition, the training, and the intelligence to help defend themselves. The second thing that happened was yesterday, which is the NATO leader said that Ukraine's future is in NATO. The question of when and how is still to be decided, but that is an important commitment. And the third shoe to drop is today, which is a long-term commitment to make sure that no matter what happens, whenever this war ends, but also after the war ends, Ukraine will have the kind of defensive capabilities to defend its territory, to deter an attack, and if necessary, to defend its territory, much like the United States has committed in the long term to defend Israel. So the three things together really mean that the West, NATO, the United States stand foursquare behind Ukraine, and that is the important message that was being sent to President Zelenskyy and, more importantly, to President Vladimir Putin in Russia.
All right. Ambassador, things really did get publicly prickly after Biden and Zelenskyy both gave their retorts to each other after Biden said, you know, not now for Ukraine. Ukraine's future lies in NATO is what he said, though, just an hour ago. To what degree do you think the U.S. accomplished what it hoped to do at this summit?
Well, the most important thing it hoped to do is to demonstrate that NATO is united, and NATO is united. There is a communique. The language was agreed. Yes, there are differences among allies, as they always are within countries and, of course, between countries. After all, we're democracies here. But that NATO stands united. As President Biden said, I think importantly, Putin banked on the idea that NATO would be divided, that NATO would fall away as a counter-pressure to Ukraine. He banked wrong. He banked wrong that the Ukrainians would fight. He banked wrong on NATO becoming together. And now in day 506 of the war, NATO is as united and perhaps even more united than it was at the outset of this. That is significant.
You know, there was something about the communique that I thought was just incredibly diplomatic and kind of non-committal. Yes, the action plan component of, you know, becoming a member of NATO was dropped, but then there was this line about Ukraine having to sort of agree to meet certain conditions, and then an invitation would be extended. It seems like it's basically the same thing as an action plan, except these conditions could almost be kind of a bouncing ball that can always move around, versus an action plan you would think would not be like that. So I kind of want to ask you, in a sense, I understand why Zelenskyy would be frustrated, because the communique doesn't seem to provide a strong commitment. It's sort of like a squishy commitment, or am I misinterpreting it?
No, I mean, it is. The frustration that President Zelenskyy felt is, he wants to be in NATO yesterday. And in fact, he believes strongly, and I think he's right, that if Ukraine had been a member of NATO, this war would never have happened. And that's the overall big lesson that he has, that, in fact, Finland and Sweden, who joined after the invasion in 2022, decided to abandon 200 years of neutrality to join NATO, belief. So the frustration is understandable. But we also need to understand that NATO is an organization of soon to be 32 countries. It operates by consensus. As we saw, Turkey held up Sweden's membership application for over a year and only is now moving forward on this.
Former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, thank you very much for that time.
My pleasure.